Today we're going to be looking at who am I, real life versus online persona. When we go online, we put lots of information out there for others to find. Information in the form of words, Facebook status updates, tweets, blog posts, articles that we've written. We can also add images, pictures, cartoons, graphics, paintings. They can be things that we ourselves have created or other people have created and we're reposting. We can also upload all kinds of audio and video, songs, music, podcasts, vines. YouTube is full of audio and video uploads. This information is how we represent ourselves online. To represent could be to portray or to depict how we express or present to other people. What we put online is how we represent ourselves, or what comes to represent us. But then we also have our online persona. Webster's dictionary defines persona as the image or personality presented to other people, sometimes an assumed character. Well, is it okay to be a different person when we're online? Going online gives us the freedom to express ourselves. We're finding new ways, constantly finding new ways to express ourselves. Artwork, writing, music. The horizons are limitless on the internet. It also allows us to share our interests with more people, to share our creations, to bring creations in from other people and to see what other people are doing. And by getting to access more people, we're looking at a larger geographic area. We can access others with similar interests, whereas we might not be able to find too many people in our own areas with those interests. Here's an example of a young gentleman named Robert who lives in North Texas. And this is a town where football is everything to everyone in the town. And he's on the football team. This year he's even a starter, but his real passion has always been fashion. He's always loved men's fashion, and he's always looked for ways to bring his own activewear into his definition of what's in style at the time. There's nobody in his town who loves fashion as much as Robert, but he also fears that if it gets out that this is what he's passionate about, that he'll be ridiculed or bullied. His one outlet is Tumblr, the blog, where he's able to follow stylists and other people interested in style and even post some of his own ideas and repost images that he has found. His time on Tumblr has led him to start to plan for his future. He's planning to go from Texas to California where he can attend the Fashion Institute. Hopefully he'll be able to get an internship in LA, which will launch him into a career in New York City in one of the great fashion houses that specializes in men's activewear. Then we have the story of Jessie. Now Jessie lives in California, but she loves Japanese cartoons, also known as manga. This isn't unusual in Los Angeles, but what is unusual is that Jessie comes from a conservative Hispanic family. Her friends and family think Jessie should show more interest in the Latino culture all around her in Los Angeles. She isn't afraid of being ridiculed as Robert was, but there's nobody nearby for her to share her interests with. There's plenty of places where she can go shopping to buy cartoons, the comic books, but she doesn't really feel like she connects with the people in those stores. She actually dreams of taking her Hispanic background and her culture and blending it with her love of manga, creating her own cartoon line, her own comic book. But she isn't sure how to do this. Now, through the internet, she's met a lot of people with similar interests, but there's just not a lot out there that connects Hispanic culture with manga. But she's able to find out how people in non-Hispanic cultures have connected with manga, and she's able to start processing her own ideas. She even starts turning out her own comics. She posts them online, and she's met somebody in Miami who's interested in working with her on some YouTube videos to go along with her new line. Avatars. Now, most of us, if we've been online, have an avatar. An avatar is an electronic image that represents us. Most of the time we think of them going along with video games, but truthfully, any image that's used online to represent us is an avatar. When we go onto our social media networks, we log into Facebook and there's a picture that pops up next to our post, that is our avatar. Same thing with Twitter. our picture that we have on Twitter when we make our tweets, that's our avatar. Any image that represents the person is an avatar. But when should we use an avatar? So a person like Shaquille O'Neal, he has over 9.7 million followers on Twitter. He needs to have an avatar that's instantly recognizable, where somebody goes in, searches Shaq, up pops this account, and they say, that's definitely who I'm looking for. Celebrities and those with a larger following base, they're going to want to use a photo or a really, really lifelike image that can easily be seen and recognized as being them, or perhaps something that represents them. In video games, you'll have an avatar that will represent you as the player. Many video games will give a set group of avatars that you can choose from, and they're very limited, and there's not much you can customize about them. Maybe the color of the clothing or the color of the hair. But there are other games that increase the number of choices you can make, so that almost everybody who plays is going to have a completely unique avatar. You could sometimes take hours just creating your avatar for the game. When creating a gaming avatar, you want to consider, do you want it to match the style of the game that you're in? Do you want it to more reflect you? Or do you just want to choose something really unique and different? Now, what about fakes? It's so easy to go online and create something that's completely different than what you really are. Because we don't often meet the friends that we make online in person, it's extremely hard to figure out who's fake, who's a faker, and who just simply doesn't exist. So what about a former girlfriend or boyfriend? They may pretend to be a stranger and join your social network to check up on you. Are they a stalker? Or do they know that if they tried to friend you, you wouldn't accept, and they just want to see how you're doing? It's a fine line sometimes. There are even more dangerous people out there who pretend to be something they're not in order to lure the unsuspecting into trouble. Now, we've all heard of the Nigerian prince scams, where a real live Nigerian prince contacts you, and there's some reason why they can't get money out of the country, and if you will just pay the transfer fees, they'll help give you a portion of the money once they get it out of the country. Now, of course, none of this makes sense, and even if it did make sense, you would probably think that it was probably illegal, whatever was going on. You and I, we look at this and we think it's a joke, and we just erase the emails when they come in. But there are people who believe these, and they're scammed out of thousands of dollars every day. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who fall for these types of scams are the elderly, who perhaps haven't heard of them before, and they're just not as savvy about how things work on the internet. But what about those 35-year-old men trolling chat rooms for teenage girls? We always see them on those primetime news shows. So what can we do? Well, it's almost impossible to tell if something on the internet is 100% true. You have to take everything with, as they say, a grain of salt. Do not share your personal data with strangers, even if it's somebody that you've been communicating with for a long period of time. You really don't know who that person is. Use the internet as a tool. Research people and their stories. You know they're putting your name into Google. Why don't you turn it around and put their name into Google too? Create and use your avatars wisely. Think about, what is that avatar going to be used for, and create it accordingly. Express yourself freely, but remember to be respectful. Follow the golden rule when you're online. If you don't want somebody to do something to you, chances are they don't want you doing it to them. And broaden your horizons. Use the internet as a tool to get your information, your creations out there, get your thoughts out there, and find what others are creating and what other people's thoughts are. Some great resources that you should check out. Snopes.com is great for somebody who's giving you a story that just is way too good to be true. It's a searchable database of urban legends and internet rumors. A lot of times you can put in a kind of summary, soldier lost arm and 2 legs, but saved entire battalion into the search box, and it'll come up with any credible stories that there are out there, but it'll also come up and say this was a rumor that was going around, or this is an email that originated in 2009. Google image search is a great tool that a lot of people don't know about. If you go into the Google image menu and you click the little camera icon in the search box, it'll reverse it, and instead of searching for an image, you can put an image URL or you can upload an image, and it will search for it and find all of the places that it's been used. So if somebody's sending you a picture and says this is me and you don't know if it's really them, you can put it in there and it will take your picture of your new friend Jane Doe and it will show you if it's been used on, say, other Facebook profiles, or if it comes back as having been used on 30 Facebook profiles, it's probably just a really popular pretty girl that's been used a lot as an image. And of course, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, and all kinds of platforms like that, you can use those to find people who share your passion. As I said, use that internet as a tool to connect and grow. Thank you so much for joining me as we talk about who am I, real life versus digital personas.